good as the defense was on Saturday, they gave up 2 scoring drives to close each half. And, and those 2 drives count for roughly 40% of the night's yardage. Is that an indication of that trouble?
Well, I've shared that with our defense in those exact terms. You know, whether that's conditioning, whether that is somewhat a lack of focus, whatever case may be. We had, you know, in the first ball game, you know, we had a number of cramping incidents, which, you know, addresses hydration and a few other things in relation to, you know, just physical presence of your body. We had 2. This last week. One was on offense, one was on defense. So it tells me that we, even playing in different conditions, although, you know, the humidity wasn't a factor and the heat wasn't a factor at all. So much for practicing in the indoor with the heat up to 95 degrees, right? But the conditioning with our defense, I think we're in at this time of year, I think we're in relatively decent condition. I can't say it's, you know, it's that. Now, is it mental focus and a little bit of a letdown because of that? That's, you know, I posed, you know, for each individual, is indeed that the case? But you go back and look, you know, the end of the first half when they took the drive down there, it's 70-some-odd yard drive. You look at the scoring drive at the end of the ball game, that's only 37 yards. And I go back and say, you know, we covered kickoffs pretty well for the previous 2 kickoffs. Then on the third one, we let the ball out to the 30-some-odd yard line, and that gives them that short field. You know, we knew what his range was. He was not going to hit the ball. I mean, if they'd backed him up 5 yards, he was out of range. He may have still hit it. I thought it was a great effort on his part, the place kicker, but he was on the edge of his range at that time. So, you know, if we do a better job on the kickoff, on our coverage, then, you know, it makes it, they're not quite there yet, you know, when it comes time to get that field goal. It doesn't mean they couldn't have gotten a yard because they had some time on the clock. So, you know, that last drive was not, you know, was not quite as significant, I think. It was significant in the outcome of the ball game in terms of their conditioning factor and their focus factor at the end of the game. The other one's longer drive, I guess that's what I'm getting at.
After the game, you had talked about you were pleased with the spirit and enthusiasm of the team there toward the end of the game. Less than 48 hours removed from the first loss. How do you describe that spirit on this squad now?
Well, I just saw some guys that, you know, that maybe had not displayed that kind of emotion and quote-unquote spirit prior to that particular point in time. But, you know, I thought there were a number of young guys in the program that went beyond where they had been previously in terms of that kind of emotion, which, you know, this football team needs.
Coach, I'm sure you either saw or heard about Darren Sproul's game-winning touchdown run last night. I was wondering if you could just comment on what you've seen from Darren as he's developed into an NFL player.
Well, you know, I don't see a lot of Darren's games, but, you know, I've talked to people, and when I've talked to Darren, you know, 2 things come to mind. One is, you know, they're ecstatic about, you know, how well he plays and what his production level is, regardless of what he's doing. I mean, there are not a whole lot of guys that are doing all the things in the NFL that Darren is doing. You know, he's returning the punts, he's returning the kickoffs, and he's, you know, become a prominent running back for them. But the thing that still always stands out in my mind is the quality of the individual, and knowing that, you know, he's got security for life. He's you know, signed paper that allows him to, you know, have an awful lot of money in his life, and he still handles it with great humility, and his character has not changed, and that's not an easy thing when you get in that environment. I mean, you see things all the time. The media is full of the Serena Williams thing and what's the guy's name, Kanye West or whatever. I mean, those kind of things, celebrity status, and they give him into, you know, a lot of those different types of pressures. And Darren, you know, has never balked. You know, he's just really a special young guy.